Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to beautiful Egypt as well. I mean, look at this. How idyllic is this? It is quite hot, I'll be honest. It's 32 degrees. I'm from Wales. Those two things don't go hand in hand, but we are not complaining about it because that's a very British thing to do, so we're not complaining about it. I thought I'd do a little what's in the bag video for you. You know, it's the start of the season. I've played a couple of events. The bag is pretty much set. A couple of things here and there that maybe will change. And I'll keep all four of you updated on those changes, so I hope you appreciate that. We will I think we'll start with the wedges and then go up. So you'll see I've got three Cobra wedges, snake bite raw. So you'll notice that they've gone a bit rusted. That's what happens over time. I love that look. It just looks cool, really. It's probably just an aesthetic thing. I'm just trying to look cool. But what you'll see is the 60 degree has actually got a full face of grooves. The 56 is the same. It kind of helps for like a bunker shot or things like that where you're going to cut across a lot. Then maybe you actually use that part of the face sometimes if you're trying to get one really high. And yeah, if you have to do that, sometimes you'll see that you do use that. So having those grooves there is quite handy. They're looking really nice at the moment, fair play. That raw is exciting. I have a 60 degree, a 55 and a 51, but it says 52 and 56 on it because they've been adjusted a little bit over time, just to get those gaps right. If you watch the Loft and Live video, you'll understand getting those gaps is very important. Then I've got a mixed set in the irons. From pitching wedge to 7-iron, got these beautiful King MB. I mean, look at them. They look so nice, don't they? Just objectively, Cobra King MB, forged iron. It's essentially the muscle back sort of blade version. You'll see I've got the Golf Pride Align grips on them as well. They've got a little ridge down the back, which really helps you to just sort of get that feeling of having the grip more in your fingers. You don't want that grip in your hand, you want it in the fingers. Really enjoying them, to be honest. I've got them set to 1 degree stronger throughout the bag, and the lie angle is actually just neutral right now, flat. So 1 degree stronger, yeah. I don't struggle with spin. I'm always looking for help to take spin off because I find it easier to add spin or add height. So we've got them 1 degree stronger than the normal lofts that they arrive in. You can always find the standard loft of your club by going on the manufacturer's website and look up the specs of the irons that you've got, because they will change a lot. You know, for example, the MBs will be maybe they'll be 3 or 4 degrees weaker than a more game improvement iron. So it is worth looking that up so that you know the number of the loft on your iron, rather necessarily than whether it's 1 degree stronger, like, you know, all that kind of stuff. If you know the number, you can be more exact. So we like them. So that's wedge to 7-iron. And then I can't get my club in the bag. That's always frustrating. That's a real golf problem, that. 4, 5 and 6-iron, I've got the King CB. So it's just like a slightly wider sole. It's just a little bit more forgiving, really. A lot of players do that nowadays. Kind of make sure that it's a little bit easier to get it up in the air. And possibly, you know, as you get to, like, especially a 4-iron, you're going to use that off the tee sometimes. And you might want just a little bit of extra help if you sort of step on it, or it's just forgiveness, you know. So if longer irons can be used, maybe you're on a par 5 and you've got to carry water. It's nice just to have that little bit more confidence that if I do miss hit this slightly, it'll work out. You know, I'll be okay because it won't take too much distance off. Whereas with the MB, it's just a little bit less forgiving. So enjoy that. I suppose I haven't spoken about the shafts yet. I've got KBS Tour C-Taper 130X. That's pretty heavy. That's 130 grams and extra stiff. They are pretty heavy. It's definitely helped me to keep the flight down and keep the spin low. Probably you could go for the 125. A lot of players would have, maybe their wedges are a little bit lighter than the rest of the clubs. So you might, in my situation, you might have the 125 in the wedges and the 130 from maybe wedge or 9-iron down through the bag. The wedges have a lot of weight in the head, so sometimes it just it can help balance out, or just gives players a little bit more feel. And you're also less likely to hit full shots with a wedge, so you're not really producing the same type of speeds or maybe action. So it's kind of good to reduce that stiffness a little bit. So those are the irons. Then I'll go to my sort of mid options, whatever you want to call them. I've got a 3-iron, Cobra King Tech Utility. You see, quite a chunky thing. It's basically like a driving iron. You know, these are very popular nowadays. And in this one, I've actually got the KBS dollar taper 130, because that's what I was using last year, was the dollar taper. Still enjoyed it. Probably happy to have the dollar taper in this one because it can give me a little bit more height on it, and you know, with this club it goes low naturally, so it's nice to have that. Most of the time I'll be choosing between having that 3-iron in the bag and having the King Tech Hybrid, Cobra King Tech Hybrid 19 degree in the bag. It's basically just a softer option. Maybe if I'm playing a course with thicker rough, then you're going to find it much easier to get the hybrid out of that lie than the 3-iron. So you might go for that, or even in specific situations, maybe you are only going to really use this kind of length of club for approaching a par 5, then maybe I want the hybrid for a softer flight, stop the ball on those greens. And even, you know, with the hybrid, it's a 19 degree, but you'll see here we've got the adjustability. So I can bring that down or up depending on maybe a specific shot on the week. You know, maybe I want to use this more as a tee club, in which case I might bring that loft down a little bit and make it a stronger club. Actually, recently in Turkey, I was not so in love with my 3-wood, so I took the 3-wood out the bag and I put this down to 17.5 degrees, gave it a real difference then. So the gap between my 3-iron and my hybrid became quite large, and I can just adjust that on the fly. So that was nice. You know, that adjustability is pretty helpful. Obviously, I guess some players probably don't want to do that much adjusting, but I quite enjoy the process of it, so I do that. This head cover always gets a lot of comments. Callaway Golf Big Bertha Warbird sole plate. It's a 5-wood head cover. It's an old classic. Some of you will know it, some of you won't, but it gets a lot of comments wherever I go, and they're always disappointed when I pull the head cover off and it isn't the real club. What it is a Cobra Dark Speed X 3-wood from last year. That's last year's model. Currently it's a 15 degree head, but I've got it set plus 1.5 degrees, which means it's now 16.5 degrees. Basically, I've always found with 3-woods, they're very hot nowadays. Like, they come out, they go miles when you catch them, especially off a tee. So in the end, it's not that much of another option off the tee. It's just, they probably suit someone who doesn't fancy the driver that much and wants another option. Whereas I really enjoy hitting driver, and I want my 3-wood to be more of a, okay, I need something that goes a bit shorter so I don't reach that bunker or hazard or whatever it is. So I've moved it up to 16.5 degrees. And what shaft have I got? I've got Hazardous Smoke, small batch, 60 grams, there's a lot of numbers there, all right? There's a lot of numbers. You might see, I don't know if the light will give you the chance, very multicolored shaft. It's pretty cool. I enjoy a 3-wood, I just don't hit it that much. I'm someone who really enjoys hitting driver, and then often you'll just sort of be dropping down to maybe a 3-wood or a hybrid in that situation. Right, as for the driver, we've got another great head cover here. Probably seen it already, but it's a Welsh flag. We like that. Who's it from? I don't remember the name actually now. That's my bad. Got last year's model in the bag. Dark Speed LS, 10.5 degree head, minus 1 degree, so it's 9.5 degrees. And I've got the heavier weight in fade setting. I prefer with driver just to try and keep things as simple as possible. I just want to be trying to hit a fade everywhere essentially. Yeah, it just kind of takes a bit of indecision out of your brain. You know, like, okay, I'm going to try and hit fade unless there are some like extenuating circumstances that make it more comfortable to hit draw or something along those lines. And that kind of just helps me to tweak it a little bit more fade bias. We've got a Ventus Blue TR6X Fujikura shaft in it. Very popular, these Ventus shafts. A lot of guys have got the black that I see, but yeah, I've quite enjoyed it. It's a lovely club, I have to say. Like, it feels great, makes a great sound, it's fast, and I mean, it's beautiful, like very clean look, you know, just sort of this matte black finish on it with nothing really, very minimal. Only problem with that is that it's quite tricky to align it sometimes. which maybe is why the new one they brought out, the DS Adapt, has now got a little bit of one of those sort of gaps up here, and it's got more pronounced white markings on the face, which really helps to align it. I've got the LS head waiting for me at home, so when I get home I'll have a chance to do a bit more testing, and maybe we'll get that in the bag afterwards. But really enjoying it at the moment. It was good in the previous tournament, so yeah, happy with that right now. And right, just to finish, we got much talked about, not in my bag, but in the golfing world in general, OLE Golf DF3, damn it, I got caught out there. Lovely head cover, they really are nice. Magnets, beautiful velvety felt in there, shall we say. Very cool head cover, fair play. That does feel high end, and you are paying high end of course, but it feels very good. I have got the counterbalance version. Superstroke have obviously done a collaboration. You can see a little bit of sort of design there. The OLE Golf logo is on there, which is pretty smart to be fair. It's quite a rounded grip, slight flat spot on the front, but it's really nice. I tried a counterbalance last season and was really enjoying it. Just so solid, and I thought, well, that with the OLE Golf technology, kind of onto a winner if you're looking for stability. So it's very cool. You obviously choose your own alignment aids on the website. I've gone for 3 lines there, 1 there and 1 on the front. Would I do it? I possibly would do that a bit differently. It's difficult. There are so many options on the website that trying to make your choice is a bit like being a kid in a candy store and you've only got one choice and you've got to pick the right one. But I have really enjoyed it so far. It took me a bit of getting used to. Obviously, the shaft goes in behind the head, which for me is very odd, and I've never used a centre shafted putter before either, so that's taken a bit of getting used to, just adjusting my setup. I can only apologise for that rude, abrupt ending there. As I mentioned earlier, Egypt's really quite hot, and my phone just completely decided, like, I've had enough of this, mate, I'm going to stop working now. So I didn't get the end there. Essentially what I was saying was, just with the lab putter, it was quite interesting when I realised that actually, but because of course the face is quite a long way ahead of the shaft, I found that if I put my hands in the same position as I used to do with the other putter, that meant that the ball position was effectively quite a long way forward. So I would hit the ball a little bit more on the up, and I already have a bit of that in my stroke. So it meant that I was just launching the putt a little bit too much, and that makes speed control really difficult for longer putts. So my hands feel like they're a little bit behind now than where they usually are, but the ball is in a spot on position and the roll has come out much more consistent. So that's been good. So yeah, that's what's in the bag. Got another tournament starting tomorrow. Pretty excited about that. Game feels good. Conditions are beautiful. It's going to be very hot, more than 30 degrees, so we're actually allowed to wear shorts, which is dreamy. Yeah, excited to get going. Excited to see if I can build on, I finished 10th in the previous event, so see if I can build on that. And yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. I've gone for a bit more of an in-depth, what's in the bag here. Wouldn't normally expect it to be, nearly 15 minutes, but yeah. If you've got any questions, please feel free to put them down in the comments. If you'd like to subscribe, that would be lovely as well. And yeah, I'll see you guys soon.